Chapter 54 to 60. The orc disaster Geld is dead. I stand on his shoulders as his body falls forward, crashing into the ground, and my body falls with him. His head rolls forward slightly before coming to a stop, surprisingly wearing an expression of tranquility. Bloody hell, that's creepy. Moving on, I invoke Predator and unceremoniously consume Geld's body, including his head. Report. Unique skill, Starved, has been obtained. Would you like to fuse skill? Go ahead. Confirmed. Beginning fusing of unique skill, Starved, and unique skill, Predator. Success. Unique skill, Gluttony, has been acquired. Presence of a soul-type skill has been confirmed, attempting to evolve unique skill, Gluttony. Success. Ultimate skill, Beelzebub, Lord of Gluttony, has been acquired. Hoo. Kikakudori. I'm joking, getting an extra ultimate skill was way out of my predictions. A welcome miscalculation, however. To evolve into a true demon lord and gain an ultimate skill, a skill that can affect and collect souls is needed. Merciless is one such skill, and OG Rimuru gets Beelzebub after his evolution into a true demon lord after fusing unique skill, Gluttony, with unique skill, Merciless. However, since I already have a skill that can affect souls, Merciless wasn't needed. And that skill, Ilya, Heaven's Feel, is an ultimate skill and can't be absorbed into Gluttony, it simply evolved as it is without any drama. At least, that's what Raphael Sensei told me. What? Did you think I could understand what the fuck happened without an assistance? Yeah. Exactly. I can't. Sniff. Anyway. The fusing and evolving of the skills all happened in under a second. The goblins, wolves, Kijin, orcs, lizardmen, cat and human all stand there looking at me in suspense. Rimuru the orc disaster is no more. We have won. I raise my fist into the air and proclaim our victory. I try to look as valiant and opposing as I could while subtly flaring my lord's ambition. The sun breaks the horizon behind me, making me glow and adding to my atmosphere. It seems it worked because everyone aside from the orcs burst out into cheers. That's all good, but... The fuck? Why is the sun appearing now? Didn't the sun go down not that long ago? Or did time pass faster than I realized during the fight? Report. The previous evening dusk happened approximately 5 hours ago. The fuck? What is this bullshit anime logic? Veldanava, explain. The goblins and lizard men are cheering while patting each other's backs and hugging each other. The wolves, led by Ranga, howl into the sky. The Kijin look around at everything happening with a satisfied smile, and Makoto is laughing and dancing while swinging Shizu around in her arms with a smile on her face. Shizu I think I'm gonna be sick. It seems Makoto is swinging her around a bit too much. Makoto quickly realizes and apologizes while blushing from embarrassment while looking around to see if anyone saw her acting like that. Well, she looked a bit cute. Her eyes meet with mine and her face explodes in a shade of red, so she quickly turns around and awkwardly walks away. Cute. The orcs, meanwhile, cried out in anguish and despair. Their conquest was over, the orc disaster died and the starved, unique skill released its hold over them. Now recalling their actions of cannibalism and other such disgraceful acts with a clear mind, they were overwhelmed with grief. To them, I can only say one thing. Get fucked, LMAO. I'm joking, saying that would be too cruel for my heart. And like that, the Orc Lord event ended. Later in the day, all of the representatives of all the races involved in this affair met up. We did this to decide what the fuck do we do now, cause I honestly have no fucking clue. So the lizard men are here being represented by the lizard man chief, his aides and Sauka. The orcs are also here being led by Geld's right-hand man/orc person, Trainee is also here as the caretaker of the forest, and there's the Kijin and me. Well, I'll be representing the Kijin in a way since they already voiced their desires to serve me officially a while ago. Makoto also wanted to join, but this isn't exactly her thing, so she opted to stay out of this. Since I was the one that took down the orc disaster, I was chosen to be the one to lead this conference. I have no idea what they're all smoking to make that decision, but I'm not satisfied. Disregarding my past life, I'm barely a year old, you know. You guys are so irresponsible. Right now, I'm sitting in the center of the room in my slime form, sweating from nervousness. I mean, talking to people, in general, is something I've only barely gotten used to. But being chosen to lead a conference on this level is way out of my comfort zone. And so, cheat sheet. Help me out. Understood. Executing task dash. No, not you. I meant this. Creation. And so, a plate of steaming hot meat buns appear. The greatest cheat sheet in life. Underscore. The moment the meat buns appeared beside me, everyone stopped what they were doing and their eyes instantly snapped to it. It's a bit creepy. Rimuru asterisk gulp asterisk. Would you like some dash? Everyone yes. Sniff, I'm not used to this. Anyway, after our unexpected meat bun snack, we all got started on the conference with a refreshed mind. I speak up. Rimuru, before anyone says anything, I just want to say my piece and be done with this. And so, I explained to them my point of view. It's basically the same as OG Rimuru's opinion, in that we both wanted the orcs to be saved. Of course, he wanted to save the orcs wholly out of the kindness of his heart, while I have slightly more selfish intentions. Having 200,000 men doing manual labor for you is honestly something very helpful. The orcs will fit the bill quite nicely. Don't get me wrong though, I also want to save the orcs out of the goodness of my heart, it's just that I also want them to help out a little. I mentioned that the orcs were dealing with famine, and it was at that time Gelmud came up to them and named Geld, causing the orc lord to be born. After that, Gelmud led the orc lord and all of his subordinates into the Jura forest to cause some chaos. In no way was this entirely the orcs' fault. Sure, some blame falls on them, but they're not the only naughty guys. And so, I appealed to everyone about an alliance. The lizard men could provide some food and water, and the dryads and treants could make up for what the lizard men are lacking. The goblins are living in a heavily sparse area, so the orcs could move there, and the orcs themselves could provide their physical resources. Well, the orcs are getting the short end of the stick in this agreement, but honestly, the orcs couldn't look happier. I guess I would be too if I was expecting to get executed, but then someone speaks to defend you. I was asked by the lizard man chief why am I doing this, but then I explained that I met the lingering spirit of the orc disaster as I ate his body, and I promised him to spare the orcs. Did this actually happen? LMAO nope. The dude was deader than dead when I ate him, I just gave them OG Rimuru's story as an excuse. So yeah, the Jura Forest Alliance was formed. I tried slipping away at this moment, but Trainee still caught me and made me the leader of the alliance. I need whatever they're smoking. Now, another problem lies before me, reviving everyone. Actually, not so much of it being a problem, I just don't feel like doing it right now. Alas, I must. A day after the whole conference deal, I gathered the conference members once more with Makoto and Shizu included to break them the news. Rimuru so yeah Ima revive everyone lol. And then the world exploded. I'm joking, it didn't actually. But the lizard men, orcs, and even Trainee herself are looking at me with a face saying WTF is this little shit talking about. Taking that as my cue to speak, I vaguely explain what I'm going to do. Rimuru, so I collected the souls of everyone who died in this war, and I have a skill that can let me create things from other things. So I could make new bodies for everyone who died before dumping the souls back into them, therefore reviving them. And now they all have a face saying oohoo. As they try to process what I just said. Rimuru anyway, I'll just go ahead and dash. Lizardman/orcs/Trainee EEHHHHH. And there it is. I was wondering where their shock went to. Maybe the weed they were smoking yesterday is still hitting hard. Who knows? Meanwhile, the Kijin are nodding their heads with a Sasuga Rimuru-sama expression and Makoto and Shizu just look at each other and sigh. So I continued outside to where the battle took place while explaining that there are certain conditions for reviving someone. One of them being that I have to be nearby when someone died for me to revive them. I don't tell them any specifics though. We arrive in front of a large open space. Due to all the commotion and large-scale spells and skills made yesterday, the water is mostly evaporated. It will turn into a marshland again within a week, but for now, this is perfect. I, for one, would not like to wake up after being just recently revived from the dead in a fucking puddle of muddy water. Rimuru, you guys might want to stand back a bit. They're already standing back far enough, I just wanted to say that. Ahem. Let's get started. Creation. The magicules lying dormant within my body suddenly move and spill out from within me. Hung. An overwhelming pressure roars from within me as my magicules form a visible aura reaching high into the skies. The ground cracks beneath me from the sheer physical pressure I am creating and my clothes and hair rise, as if no longer being affected by gravity. Even as this is happening, it is all being contained with the glowing runes I inscribed onto plates of metal and thrown around me. Yes, I could perfectly control my magicules thanks to Heaven's Feel, so I don't need the runes. Why did I just let everything spill from within me then? To show off, obviously. Why else would I do something like this? I love you too, Raphael. Now help me with these calculations, reviving a whole 70,000 orcs and lizard men at once while simultaneously shitting their souls into their bodies is something out of my mental capabilities. Understood. And like that, with Raphael's help, my magicules flowing into the air begin to move with a purpose. Bodies of orcs and lizard men begin to form from motes of light. If you didn't notice that they weren't breathing, you would think they were sleeping. Of course, I also made sure to give them clothes. Ain't nobody wanna see their junk. After 70,000 or so bodies were created, the most important part of the process begins. The shitting. Inhale. Heaven's Feel. Tomb. The magicules rush out of me at an even faster pace than before, the runes containing my magicules and making sure it doesn't kill everyone from the pressure begin to glow even brighter to counteract the force. But no one notices. Instead, all of their eyes are locked onto me. At this point, even my whole body begins to float. A hazy misty visual effect begins to lightly surround me. Clap. I clap my hand in front of me before opening them slightly. From within, a small light appears. Then, I spread my arms wide, causing the light to brighten and split into thousands of ghost-like meat buns, all of them rushing to a body. Yeah, I made their souls look like meat buns. Fuck you, that's why. Seeing all this happen, I smile. I mean, making all these souls look like meat buns is a little funny. Mikoto POV. Rimuru is in the middle of reviving all of the orcs and lizard men. Standing with me are the Kijin, a few of the orcs with the Orc Lord's right-hand man leading them, the lizard man chief and his close associates including his daughter, and Trainee herself. And right now, they're all looking at Rimuru with shock and or written all over their faces. I just look at them and chuckle to myself. Despite how Rimuru acts, I know he's hiding some things. I don't know exactly what, but I know for sure he's much stronger than he ever let on. What's going on in front of me just confirms it. It makes me feel a little odd, knowing he doesn't entirely trust me yet. Well, I'm sure that will change. One day. Shizu, is something wrong? Shizu, who I'm holding in my arms, looks up at me and asks me a question with a slightly concerned face. Mikoto, No, everything's fine. Why? I reply to Shizu with my own, thought communication. Shizu, you looked a bit sad for a moment. Did I feel sad? When? Was it when I was thinking Rimuru didn't trust me? And no way. I mean, sure, we haven't met long enough to share everything about each other, but I guess I do feel a little disappointed. I mean, he's helped me with the sisters ordeal, and he's been doing a lot more things for me, like letting me stay with him and always spending time with me. And letting me hug. I feel my face heating up slightly, so I just hug Shizu more and lower my head. Eventually, I look up once more to see Rimuru continuing to revive the lizard men and orcs. Clap. He claps his hands before opening them slightly, gently holding a small light within. He then spreads his arms wide as the small light brightens and splits into thousands of motes of light, all rushing to a body lying on the ground. Now that I look closer, are those little balls of light meat buns? I involuntarily smile at this. It's just like him. I see Rimuru softly smiling as he watches all of the meat buns, who I assume to be individual souls, sink into the chests of their new bodies. I feel my heart beat a little faster and my face heats up even more. Stop. R. I don't know anymore. Meanwhile, Shizu looks up at Mikoto as she continues to shake her head with a heavy blush. Seeing this, she thinks to herself, must be chlamydia. And so, I finished reviving everyone. By the time I finished, Mikoto already left. I wasn't really paying attention, so I don't know why. I'll ask her later. Meanwhile, everyone else watching are awed. I guess I did a pretty good job then. The lizard men and orcs are shocked at knowing I could do something like this. Meanwhile, Ranga, the Kijin and Trainee are more admiring the light show more than being stunned. I mean, they are aware I'm way stronger than I show. Trainee has an idea because she's the overseer of the whole forest, there's barely anything going on here that escapes her eye. She can't peek into the experimental area thanks to the runes I placed, but with the multitude of knowledge she gets from everywhere else, she can make a vague guess. As for Ranga, Benimaru, Hakuru, Soai, Cheyenne and Shuna, it's more on the level of blind belief. And so, while the newly revived lizard men and orcs were jumping about in joy at being given a second chance, I took the Kijin aside to talk to them alone. Rimuru, I'm sorry. I can't revive your village. I didn't collect their souls. I bow to the Kijin and apologize for my lacking brain cells. Benimaru Rimuru-sama, please stand up. Shuna, stand up straight. Benimaru walks forward to lift me up, but Shuna beats him to it. She didn't move or anything. Instead, in a tone more domineering than her brother's, she speaks 3 simple words. Hearing her talk in that tone, I involuntarily stop bowing and look at her with confusion. Shuna, you are our leader and savior. Regardless of what happened or what your intentions were, you saved many of our lives. If not for you, most, if not all of us would have died on that day. I never expected nor wished for the revival of our village. We are monsters. And for us, it's survival of the fittest. We lost on that day, but at the same time, we were saved. I've had my revenge against the orcs and killed many of them. And so, I am satisfied. And I think I can speak for everyone when I say that. Shuna makes an enthralling speech. At first, everyone, Benimaru especially, was surprised at Shuna changing from her usual calm and cute self into a more dominant attitude. But eventually, they nodded their heads at the end, agreeing with every word she said. Benimaru, she's not wrong, you know. So indeed. I am your shadow, and we all have our positions under you. Regardless of your actions, we look up to you and serve you. Hakuru MMM. Furthermore, we all grew stronger thanks to you. Cheyenne, and we'll use that strength to make sure it doesn't happen again. I look at each of the Kijin as they look towards me with respect and reverence, and not a hint of regret, sadness or anger. I involuntarily smile, turn around and continue walking. Rimuru, honestly. I don't think I deserve subordinates like you. The Kijin look towards each other with a smile and follow after me. A few minutes later, I catch one of the orcs wearing a black cloak standing to the side, waiting for us, or rather, the Kijin. This orc is the new orc leader that was chosen and the one mainly representing the orc race during the conference. I have a feeling I know what's going to happen, so I just continue walking. Rimuru, I think that orc wants to talk to you. Hear him out. Benimaru, understood. The orc lowers the hood of his cloak and bows deeply as I walk past. He then stands up and turns his attention to the Kijin, who stopped walking to hear what he has to say. Orc, I know, that hatred isn't something easily discarded. For what we orcs have done to your village. The orc begins to stutter on his words before falling to his hands and knees. Orc, please, take my head and spare my brethren. I know this isn't fair, but I beg for your mercy. Please be satisfied with my life alone. The orc begs while breathing heavily due to nervousness, waiting for his death. The Kijin look towards each other. Meanwhile, I stop listening and using universal perception. With Shuna's speech just prior to this, I know Benimaru and the others will make the right decision. And so, I continue walking with a slight smile. A few hours later, I come across yet another daunting task. Naming the orcs, all 200,000 of them. Fuck me. I'm really starting to miss those times when I could just procrastinate things. Well, nothing special is going to happen, let's just get this started. And so, I named all the orcs. In the beginning, the orc leader walks up to me to be named. It seems Benimaru and the others decided to spare him, that's good. Rimuru, you will inherit the orc lord's will and lead the orcs. Therefore you will inherit his name too. Your name will be Geld, use it with pride and majesty. Tears threaten to spill out of his eyes, but he holds them back. He kneels and shouts. Geld, my loyalty is forever yours, Rimuru-sama. And I just nod with a smile. And then my smile strained as I see the long line of orcs behind him. Once again, fuck me. Rimuru, your name will be Kazuma. Kazuma hi, Kazuma Disu. Rimuru, you will be called Shiro. Shiro, people die when they are killed. Rimuru, and you will be called Jeff. Jeff, my name Jeff. I continue to tediously name the orcs. I'm using the magicules left in their bodies from their time under the effects of the orc lord's starved skill. The magicules are slowly dissipating, but I consume it with gluttony and reuse it to name them. Why didn't I name them with my own magicules, you ask? Well, I didn't want them to be intensely loyal to me. They all see me as their benefactor, especially after reviving many of them. However, they still need to spread out over the whole forest. If I name them with my own magicules, they will see me as their parent and will become intensely loyal to me. I can't look after all of them, therefore I won't use my own magicules for most of them. Of course, I used my own magicules for Geld and for those who specifically wished to directly serve me, which were around 2,000 to 3,000 orcs. Meanwhile, Orc Jeff walks away with a satisfied smile on his face. He got a good name after all. Suddenly, he stops. His Jeff senses are tingling. He turns his head and his eyes turn sharp. There, he meets a goblin also looking at him with sharp eyes and highly defined facial features. And they just stare at each other. Internally, they both think the same thing. This guy is strong. And so, they begin walking towards each other with menacing characters appearing out of nowhere. Goblin Jeff, my name Jeff. Ho, you're approaching me? Orc Jeff, my name Jeff, I can't talk to you without getting closer. Goblin Jeff, my name Jeff, oh ho, then come as close as you'd like. And so, the JoJo reference continues to get overused. Anyway, back to me. I had Raphael randomly generate names for all of the orcs so I don't have to waste any more of my already scarce brain cells. I ended up taking the whole day to name all the orcs. It would have taken several times longer if I didn't get bored and decide to speed things up with my enhanced replication clones. In the end, all the orcs evolved into high orcs overnight, still don't know how they fucking do it, and Geld evolved into an orc king. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, the rest of the wolves under Ranga evolved into Spatium Star wolves following Ranga's evolution. More fluff. I wonder where Makoto went to though. 10 days later. A whole lot of shit had to be done. What kind of shit? I don't know, I just had other people deal with it. Finally, procrastination once more. Anyway, it's been 10 days and the orcs are splitting up and leaving for their new homes. After leaving their old lands due to famine and following the orc lord, the orcs had a saying. Instead of leaving a better home for our children, why don't we leave our children for a better home? And with that thought in mind, they abandoned their kids and left. Of course, the children still ended up following and the older orcs still ended up having to deal with them. My condolences. This is a joke, by the way, it's just a funny theory I came up with. Anyway, my group is also getting ready to head back home since there's no need to stay here at the marshlands anymore. And so, I meet up with the Lizardman chief to say goodbye and give him a name. I mean, why not give him a name? It makes him stronger, and he's my ally, plus it won't hurt me in any which way. Plus, I most likely would never see him again, so, meh. Rimuru yo. How are you doing, Chief? Chief, quite well, thanks to you, Sir Rimuru. My brethren are in a joyous mood and the marshlands have finally returned to normal. Rimuru, I see, that's good. Well, I'm just here to say goodbye before heading back. Chief, you're leaving? Rimuru, yeah. I've got my own place to go back to, after all. Chief, I see. I thought you would stay for Gabble's trial in a few days and impart your punishment onto him. Gabble has been captured and detained in the Lizardman jail cells ever since the battle with the Orc Lord ended. He's been given 2 meals a day and no one is allowed to talk to him. Gabble himself also knows what he did wrong, so he's not complaining and silently waiting for his punishment, which would generally lead to the death penalty. I just smirked to myself and replied to the Lizardman chief with an eye closed. Rimuru, he's your son as well as a Lizardman. Both as a father and as a leader. I think it's your job to punish him, right? Letting Gabble's father deal with the punishment is basically saying I don't care what happens, he could get off scot-free for all I care. Of course, I don't actually want Gabble to leave without punishment, but I just can't be fucked. If I leave it to Chief here, Gabble would simply get exiled. The Chief's eyes widen before he closes them and smiles. Chief, remember that we lizard men are in your debt. Come to me if you ever need anything. Rimuru will do, Chief, actually, this is a good time to bring it up, don't you think Chief is a bit boring? Chief, is it? Rimuru, yeah. Why don't you call yourself a Bill from now on? I say while smiling. As I feel the magicules leaving me and entering the Lizardman Chief, now called a Bill. I turn around while waving over my shoulder. Rimuru, see you around. As I leave, I feel a Bill bow his head to me. Now, I could have also taken Gabble with me right now, but I don't want to accept him just yet. I'll wait for him to come to me first. And then, my foot is itching. Anyway, I continue walking until I find myself back with my group containing Benimaru, Shina, Soai, Cheyenne, Hakuru, Ranga, the Goblin Riders and their wolves, dealt with 3,000 or so orcs, and of course, Makoto and Shizu. Something weird is that Makoto is constantly avoiding me. Whenever I look in her direction, she somehow gets fidgety and constantly looks for ways to keep away from me. Sometimes I catch her looking in my direction with a conflicted expression before she quickly snaps her head away. I'm not dumb. At first, I was confused. Why is she acting like this? After that, I remember this is an anime world and I should use my weeb sense to see what is the most likely scenario if a girl acted like this. And then things made more sense. Makoto is either angry with me and is ignoring me, or she has chlamydia. I'm joking. But I hope it's the second option and I don't mean chlamydia. I mean, I hope she's in love. With me specifically. If it's not with me, then I hope she's not in love. But looking at her actions, there's a good chance she somehow came to realize that she probably likes me, and being that tsundere that she is constantly denying it. Maybe she's not outright saying she doesn't love me and is simply avoiding the question, but as a consequence, she's also avoiding me. Oh well, I can't rush this. If things don't progress past this after a while, I'll make a move, but until then, I'll act like a dense protagonist. I mean, I don't want to do this, but if I embarrass her, that embarrassment might turn into anger, and that would just complicate things more. Sigh. Why did I have to fall in love with a tsundere? As I think such things, I involuntarily let my eyes wander over in her direction and catch her sitting down on a rock nearby, playing with Shizu's paws on her lap with a joyful expression. I involuntarily smirked to myself. Well, it might not be so bad. Rimuru, right, ready up. We're leaving. At my words, everyone focused up and got ready to move. They all look like they're going to have to walk back to our town. Ha, as if my lazy ass would bother to do such a thing. Rimuru, then let's get moving. Snap. Spatial motion. I turn around, facing away from everyone, and snap my fingers while activating my skill. In front of me, the air ripples before a small circle appears in front of me. Or rather than a circle, it's more fit to call it a portal. The circle expands until it reaches a couple of 100 meters in diameter, half of it sinking into the ground, making only the top half of the portal appear above ground. On the other side is a familiar forest. This forest is a rather spacious place nearby our town. I look over my shoulder to see many of the orcs, Geld included, looking up at the giant portal with a shocked expression. I smirk and walk forward. Rimuru, come on. We're going home. 14 years after I found Makoto in the forest. Things are going quite smoothly. I'm still wandering around the world, except for this time I have company in the form of a small lowly girl. That's right, it's my adoptive daughter. She's now around 14 years old and she has grown into a wonderful lass. She doesn't have much in the body department, however, her looks more than make up for it. Even now, I can tell she will grow into a country-toppling beauty. She's short silver-colored hair and round tea-colored eyes. Her hair aside, her eyes bear a striking resemblance to the person I named her after, my waifu from my past life, Makoto Masaka. Of course, she's not Makoto herself. I know that. She's a different person. For one, she isn't a tsundere, and she's quite honest with her feelings. And two, well, her wolf ears on her head are a good reminder. Yeah, Makoto is a demi-human. A wolf beast man, to be exact. Anyway, I continued to travel across the world while also raising Makoto. I did some more searching and found out that she belonged to the Silverwolf clan. They're a clan of fighters that descended from a silver-haired wolf-type beastman fighter that used to be in the same party as the previous hero. Apparently, she found an ego weapon by the name of Beowulf and became one of the strongest people in the world. I vaguely remember something like that. It was during my early years. Well, it gets hard to remember things that happened over 300 years ago. Immortality is a bitch like that. Thank God I know other people with immortality, so it isn't entirely lonely during these long centuries. Anyway, that clan of fighters ended up becoming quite the big shot in this world. They prided themselves in birthing only superior fighters. However, Makoto was born. They found that her body was weak, and they couldn't change it. In the end, not wanting to tarnish their reputation, she was abandoned until I found her. And now, she's a cheerful little squirt. Makoto Oto-san. Wake up! Makoto yells while struggling to take my blanket off me. Never mind, she's an annoying little squirt. Leave me alone. I grab onto the blanket like it's my lifeline and hold onto it for dear life. Meanwhile, Makoto also pulls back with all her strength, even leaning back and adding her own weight to it. Normally, she would never be able to contend with my strength, but I look at her arms that have a slightly hazy effect. It seems she's using body strengthening magic quite well. She's gotten better. Well, I'm awake now, I don't need to keep sleeping. And like that, I let go, and Makoto, not thinking I would just let go like that, ended up flying back. Ha! Serves you right for disturbing my sleep. Makoto, are you a child? I look at her lacking chest, before looking at her face with an expression that says really? Makoto quickly covers her chest with a red face. Makoto Oto-san no baka. She yells out loud before running out of my room. Thankfully I set up the house in the middle of the forest or I would soon be dealing with angry neighbors. Anyway, I continue about my day trying to appease to an angry pouting Makoto while still thinking about random things. Thankfully, she quickly mellowed down. Makoto used to have a weak body, but it was not because of a physical problem, it's just that her mana pool is so large that her body became saturated with it to the point that it poisoned her. In the end, I made a mana-absorbing necklace for her and she was able to grow up into a healthy young girl. After a while, her body grew to the point that it could barely contain her full mana without any deficiencies, and so I taught her magic after that. That Silverwolf clan are fucking idiots. I mean... Makoto Thunder Sprite shock. Asterisk BBOM. Asterisk. She is an absolute prodigy in magic. Lightning magic, to be exact. It's just a shame that the magic lightning in this world is purple and not a white-blue color. If it was, then it would look visually similar to my waifu. With her insane mana pool and an even more insane mana Reagan, she could fire off alpha tier magic one after the other without rest for an entire day. Alpha tier. Just a single one of those spells could level the capital city of a large kingdom. Anyway, Makoto and I were just clearing out a nest of dragons. They're just low-tier dragons, so they're nothing much to Makoto, so I let her deal with it. Makoto Oto-san. I did it. Makoto runs up to me with a large smile on her face and her wolf tail wagging left and right at an insane speed. No, seriously. Even with my kinetic vision that can keep up with agility-based gods, it looks like there are 2 tails. Sometimes 3. Makoto is amazing in some weird ways. I pat Makoto's head with a smile. Honestly, she's probably the only one who can take out a whole nest of lesser dragons with a Theta tier spell like Thunder Sprite's shock and not care in the slightest. Granted, she's wearing gear I personally made, but they're just there to help attract more spirits and increase attack speed. She didn't use her power-boosting artifacts. Those Silverwolves would be kicking themselves if they saw this. Damn, now I kinda just want to show her off to them. But I can't. Today is the day. I kneel down with one knee and look Makoto in the eye. Makoto. Makoto, Is something wrong, Oto-san? I smile. Honestly, even if she may hate my guts, she would eventually forget about it and act like a spoiled child. I'm leaving on a journey. This time, you're not coming with me. I say solemnly. Makoto, eh? Why? Her tail and ears drop down and I involuntarily pat her head. You need to learn to stand by yourself. But don't worry, I'm not leaving forever. I place a compass in her hand. This compass will always point towards me. Yes, that's right, I'm leaving Makoto behind. I've come to love this girl as my own daughter, and it honestly hurts to part with her, but as you can see, she's quite dependent on me. I guess that's my fault, but this is also punishment for me. Once you find me again, I'll consider your confession. She confessed to me. Yes, a love-filled confession for marriage. Don't get me wrong, I did nothing to make her fall in love with me. Sure, I slept with her when she was little, but as soon as she hit 5 years of age, I banished her to the Shadow Realm. Cough. I banished her from my room and had her sleep alone. I made sure to never touch her too much besides hugs and head pats like a normal parent, and I trained her quite extensively too. Even so, I underestimated her status as a reincarnator. Her previous life's memories made her quite mature for her age, and she was just in the middle of searching for love when she died and became reborn here. And so, my actions attracted her romantic love. She confessed. And I immediately rejected her. Surprisingly, she continued to persist, but I always kept my distance to that of a parent and child. However, she's grown on me. And thus, the deal I'm proposing now. Mikoto clutches the compass to her chest, looking at it with a lonely gaze, before looking back at me with resolution. Mikoto understood. I'll make you proud. I wryly smiled to myself, before disappearing, my voice echoing in the winds. Arita, I'll be waiting. And so began the journey of Mikoto, the self-professed wife of the greatest man in the world and the woman who will soon be known worldwide as the Lightning Princess. Honestly, what a troublesome daughter. I smiled to myself while thinking that as I once again release my divinity that I've sealed for several decades. I'm going to kill a few gods that would fall in love with Mikoto and attempt to force her to become theirs. I should be done in a week. Seeing the future like this is really convenient. And so, I along with over 3,000 other monsters arrive back home in under an hour without having to walk the entire distance on foot. Couldn't I have just done this to travel to the marshlands in the first place? Pfft, don't ask too much from my brain cells. But I'm still very thankful my crest of space can let me do things like this. As the orcs continued to file through the large portal, I decided to just continue heading back to town. Upon arrival, I became swarmed by the residents who stayed behind, asking for news about what happened. It's not like they even had the slightest thought about us losing, it's more on the lines of wanting to hear what exactly went down. And so, while the Kijin worked with Geld to sort out the rest of the orcs, I decided to take this chance and spread epic tales of my glorious battle. Rimuru. And so, while I was covered in blood, I continued to stand up to the Orc Lord, doing my best to protect my fallen soldiers. Oh, and at this point, the Orc Lord has already evolved into an Orc disaster NO. An Orc apocalypse. Yeah. This guy could take down demon lords with just an arm NO. A single finger. I was at the ends of my ropes, but then, a super busted dragon cat lowly hybrid goddess appears and declares me her husband and heals me while giving me a boost to my strength, and so began round 16 of our fight. Rimuru-sama. You're so brave. So cool, Rimuru-sama. You're so amazing, Rimuru-sama. While I was having a blast telling stories about my bravery in the war, I feel a burning sensation against my back. It's not a physical feeling, it's more of a spiritual one. A spiritual attack. Here of all places. I quickly scan the area with universal perception to locate my attacker, but what I sense quickly forces me into a cold sweat. Mikoto, what are you doing, Rimuru? Mikoto appears behind me without my knowledge while boring a hole into me with her stare. Amazing, she can easily deal spiritual damage to someone just by looking at them. As expected of the woman I fell in love with. Wait, now's not the time. Raphael. What happened? Why didn't you tell me Mikoto was there? Notice. She had no hostile intentions. You did that on purpose, didn't you? Traitor. Gulp. Rimuru ah. Ahahaha, hahaha. I nervously laugh as a puddle of sweat pools under me. How I can sweat is beyond me, so I'll just chalk it up to bullshit anime logic. Mikoto, come with me. And so, I ended up getting dragged away by the back of my collar. I look around to see if there's anyone that could help me. The orcs are still being sorted out and the Kijin are helping with that. Ranga is sleeping within my shadow and I don't want to disturb him since he's worked hard. The other goblin riders have also split. And Shizu. I don't know where Shizu is. Elsewhere. Shizu is in the middle of some demonic ritual as she slowly scratches a couch to shreds. Shizu, I offer this to you, Lord Yuruchi. May you bless this lowly one? Very well. I shall accept. A red light shines on Shizu. Shizu kukuku. Ha ha ha. Ahahaha cough, hairball. Shizu hacks up a small hairball before burning it with her control over fire and slowly walks away. As for what just happened, no one will ever know. Not even the author. Back to Rimuru. Yeah, for some reason I think not knowing where Shizu is right now is a good thing. And so, I turned to the hundreds of people that were just surrounding me with sparkling eyes as they were enthralled with my story. Clap. They all simultaneously lower their heads, close their eyes and clap their hands in front of them in prayer. Everyone, may you rest in peace. Sniff. Traitors. All of you. In the end, I was made to give everyone the truth of what actually happened. At least Mikoto didn't run away from me or anything. That's probably not a good thing though. Rest in peace, the Epic of Rimuru and the Orc Apocalypse. Several days later. The orcs very quickly learned their jobs. As a consequence, the town experienced a construction boom. Kaijin was very happy with this, as this gave him more time for stuff that he's more rather do like researching and refining his craftsmanship further. He and Kurobe are quite similar like this. The construction area was completely mapped out and the orcs immediately got to work. Sewerage systems ran all over the place as pathways were laid down and buildings began to be built at breakneck speeds. Of course, before anything could get underway, I stepped in. I didn't like the design of everything. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad or anything, it's just not unique. It's these general medieval-style buildings all over the place and it gets quite monotone. Especially since it's basically the same all over the world except in rather unique places. So, to make a rather unique building style to proclaim this as Rimuru's town, I quickly intervened. Specifically, I had Raphael draw up some building plans and designs before handing them all off to Geld and the orcs under him. These designs were specifically designed by Raphael, using my desires as a base to make a rather stylish, sturdy and most importantly easy to build design. These buildings will eventually make this place a modern fantasy city of dreams. It's really stoking my inner weeb. I can't wait to see it all finished. I could just make everything myself, but I honestly can't be fucked. Plus, I have Geld and his small army of 3,000 orcs to do things for me. I might as well use them, right? Plus, as of now, we have nowhere near enough residents to use even 5% of those buildings, so slow and steady wins the race. 3 weeks after the whole Orc Lord incident ended, I'm running through the forest. Everything seems weird. There's no sound. The sounds of the forest are missing. The skittering of the small animals, the sounds of the insects, the wind, everything's gone. It's just silence. The atmosphere here isn't helping either. The sky is gray, covered in clouds. Yet, it doesn't look like it's going to rain. I'm getting a bad feeling. These kinds of environments nearly always prelude to something happening, and it's usually not a good thing. I speed up. After continuing running through the forest, I suddenly stop. Why am I running? Oh, right, it's because Mikoto ran off this way? I don't really remember it, but I'm pretty sure I was just chasing after her. Odd. I continue to run. And run. And run. Crack. A new sound. I stop running and slide to a halt. I look in the direction of the sound, but I don't see anything. Maybe it's just hidden? I walk forward slowly. I eventually come across a cluster of thick foliage. The bad feeling I'm getting strengthens every so slightly. I reach out my hand and push the foliage aside. On the other side is a small open area. Standing in the center are 2 people. One of them is a man dressed entirely in black, with his identity hidden and holding a bloody dagger. The other, a cold lifeless body, lying at his feet with blood pouring out of a wound in her chest. All emotions drain out of me as in under a second, rage clouds my mind and I instantly find myself standing behind the man. The man collapses, now with a hole bored straight through the left side of his chest. And in my hand, a beating heart. Shatter. Inhale. I wake up with a start. I involuntarily inhale as if I've been holding my breath for several dozen minutes. What the fuck is going on? I don't even need to breathe, I'm a slime. My mind is a mess. I look down at my slightly shaking hands. Right, calm down, what's going on? Right. Killing training. Mikoto, are you okay, Rimuru? I look up to see Mikoto staring at me with nothing but concern on her face. I take a deep breath and nod. I don't need to breathe, but it seems to be a habit from my time as a human. Rimuru, yeah. I'm fine now. My words don't seem to convince her at all. I'm not surprised. She knows perfectly well what I just went through. Here's what's going on. The day after we all came back home, I called Mikoto over for a talk. Specifically, it's to make do on my decision to train Mikoto to gain resistance to killing. She seems to hesitate a lot when it comes to killing or heavily injuring sentient beings. She's not dumb, she's completely aware of it too. But no one can really do anything about it, she was raised that way in modern society. And so, I decided to change that. The way I decide to train her to kill is through illusions. I create a sequence of runes that will put the target in an illusion. The illusion will place the target in a scenario where they will be forced to kill someone, in this case, it would be a human. Furthermore, knowledge of being placed in the illusion will be temporarily sealed in their mind, and they will think that everything that's happening in the illusion is 100% real. Once they kill someone or something, the target will then be released from the illusion, with the sealed memories returned. Basically, it's a bootlegged Tsukuyomi. Of course, I know how cruel something like this can be. The first time Makoto went through it, I felt like tearing my heart out. Makoto was left in a nervous wreck, curled up into a ball, hugging her arms and knees, shivering and crying. At that time, for around half an hour, I hugged her tightly in my arms while whispering words of consolation and patting her head. Even though I am a slime, I involuntarily shed tears at that time. Seeing her like that hurt me more than I could have ever imagined. And so, after that, I decided to go through the training with her. That's what just happened to me. What I just went through was the training. But there are a few failsafes in the rune sequence. For one, we only do this once a day. Furthermore, we don't have complete memories of everything that happened in the illusion. Instead, knowledge of the events would get converted into something akin to words on a sheet of paper. This is to prevent trauma. We can read through the sheet of paper to understand what happened, but it won't be too impactful. It would be like reading a novel or watching a movie where the main character killed someone and that main character just so happened to share your name. We would be mostly detached. The keyword here is mostly. A few moments after we exit the illusion, we would still be connected and our emotions would still be in turmoil, hence the reason why Makoto ended up as a wreck after the first time and why I reacted in such a way after leaving the illusion. But it's also not a bad thing. We're improving. Now, Makoto wouldn't cry and end up as a total wreck after exiting the illusion. Heck, just recently, she finished her illusion without so much as a flinch. And that's to be expected since that should be the normal reaction. My reaction just now was not expected. Makoto continues to look at me with worry on her face. I smile warmly, seeing her like that, and lift up my hand and drop it on her head. Rimuru, thank you for worrying about me. Makoto, it's not like I was worrying. She begins to speak forcefully but quickly turns into a mumble as she lowers her beet red face while touching her index fingers against each other. I chuckle. Honestly, she's such a tsundere. She's acting like a young maiden. If she had cat features, I'm sure her tail would be swishing happily. God, I want to see that. Makoto ***, so, what did you see in your illusion that made you react like that? I lower my hand as my smile wavers. My eyes looking at Makoto became invaded with pain and worry before I quickly hide it. Rimuru nothing, by the way, I like your clothes. Makoto, I nonchalantly change the subject while taking this chance to get some brownie points. Makoto responds with a rather attractive squeak. I'm not lying though. With Shina making more and more clothes of various variety, Makoto eventually stopped wearing her Tokuwada uniform every breathing second and eventually went around wearing more and more types of clothes. Thank God, because if not for her, I would be Shina's test subject and I don't want to go through what OG Rimuru had to, being dressed in girlish clothes. It would hurt my pride as a man. Makoto right now is wearing a women's beige duffel jacket that looks slightly big on her, which looks cuter on her than anything. She's also wearing black jeans that emphasize her legs. Her legs are honestly the best part about her. Furthermore, she's fit, so her legs are quite shapely. Not just her legs, her ass. TCH. Those damn biker shorts she always wears under her skirts really hide them well. Sensing my gaze even while I'm using universal perception, scary intuition, Makoto's face somehow becomes even redder and her eyes begin to spin. She ends up turning around and running away. Makoto, Rimuru, you dummy ie. If not for the fact that I'm immune to electricity, she probably would have shocked me unconscious right then and there. A warm feeling spreads through my chest as I look at Makoto's retreating figure. I don't want to lose it. My attention drifts back to the question she asked. Rimuru whispering what did I see, huh? What I saw was a man in black with a bloody knife in hand, standing over a dead body. That body was... Even though I don't really remember it, I still shiver thinking about it. Silently vowing to never let that happen, I follow after Makoto. Who knows, maybe she might let me take a dip in the hot spring with her? Yeah, I shouldn't get my hopes up. I'm walking through town. Everything is going along nicely, however, everyone is gone. I don't see anyone, even on this usually busy street. Then, out of nowhere, a wild busty Wanisan attacks. Wanisan era. Gunshot. Shatter. Rimuru, don't you fucking era me. I jump up from my sitting position, shouting at the top of my lungs. Mikoto Rimuru! Mikoto looks over at me in shock, wondering what just happened in my illusion. Yes, illusion. I remember now, I was doing that damn training again. God, I'm gonna kill whoever made thought up of that. Oh wait. Rimuru nothing, don't mind it. Mikoto sighs while shaking her head, and stretches out her arms to me. Acting on habit, I jump towards her and transform into my slime form, landing right in her arms. She's gotten way less embarrassed at holding me like this. Jingle. Her bracelet rattles a bit from the impact. I look at it while smiling a bit internally. She rarely takes it off. I'm glad. Though I'm sure it's more because it's the only Gakoda object here in this world than anything else. Rimuru wanna grab something to eat? Mikoto MMM. She nods in agreement. We both exit the illusion room as I call it, with me in Mikoto's arms. It's a side room I made in our house that has the illusion runes all written down in it so I don't have to write a new set every day. Shizu, hurry up. Stop acting so lovey-dovey already. Mikoto we're not acting lovey-dovey. Mo. Mikoto pouts as a shade of red slightly spreads across her cheeks. Rimuru, couldn't you just get food outside? Shizu, it's not as good as your food. What an honest answer. I feel like I've been spoiling Shizu too much lately. Should I be harsher on her? Shizu, as if feeling my intentions, immediately rolls on her back and begins to act cute. Shizu meow. Oh my goodness, look at this cute little creature. What? Be harsher to her? Don't be ridiculous. Who can reject this devious little cat devil? Mikoto and I sit down at our own seats at the table with Shizu sitting on the table itself, before I transform into my human form again and activate a skill. Creation. And like that, sparkling food appears on the table, releasing a heavenly aroma. Rimuru/Mikoto/Shizu itadakimasu. And so we clap our hands/paws in front of us, say our thanks, and begin eating. Some Japanese traditions from Mikoto and Shizu rubbed off on me. Shizu didn't really remember why she did it. It just felt right. Or, so she said. What's that? Why don't I cook food normally? Ha. Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I can cook for myself? I barely even know how to cook instant noodles. Sometimes I forget the noodles entirely and I end up with just this pot of flavored water. Yeah. It's that bad. But with my broken skill, creation, I can make godly food that tastes amazing. Remember the first meat bun I ate when I first gained my human form? The one that caused me to foodgasm? This food is about as good as that. Remembering that event makes me thank myself for eating it in my female form, or else moaning in my male or gender-neutral form would be so embarrassing. Now, however, we've all gained a form of resistance to it. Of course, that meat bun was just an ordinary, incredibly tasty meat bun. The food in front of me is infused with magicules enhancing the taste, and the table has runes written under it to enhance any food placed on it as well. Imagine if I made a meat bun with this setup. I'm drooling just thinking about it. No, my sense of self might be erased. Anyway, during these 3 weeks since we returned from the Orc Lord event, a few more things happened. For one, Yamato evolved into a mythic weapon. Even with my crest of space, Yamato could only cut through the world. This is even when I'm supporting it with my infinite magicules. However, now that it evolved, I can probably cut the sun in half. While still standing here on this planet, mind you. Furthermore, it now acts as a kind of focus that lets me control my spatial powers even better. As a consequence, spatial motion evolved into dominate space, and now I can do so many more things. With Yamato's focusing abilities, I can even be precise enough to split every single one of Shizu's hairs in half. At the same time. Shizu, meanwhile, suddenly felt a shiver go down her spine. She temporarily stopped eating, looked left and right, before shrugging and going back to stuffing her face in her food. I might even be able to use my spatial abilities even in an anti-magic field. I know Yamato can evolve even further, but I'm not exactly sure what the next step is. Report. Mythic Weapon Yamato will eventually evolve into Genesis Weapon Yamato. Unable to estimate the time needed until evolution. Fucking what? Genesis. The fuck is that? Notice. Knowledge about Genesis weapons was found in your memories. Therefore, the next evolution after Mythic will be Genesis. What? I don't remember anything about Genesis weapons. I must have forgotten it. Raphael can dig up forgotten memories like that, something I'm thankful for. While I was thinking about such things, we finish eating. Rimuru, right, I think it's about time I test some things out. I get up and begin to leave. Shizu thinks for a second before hopping off the table and following after me. Mikoto fidgets a little before copying Shizu. I quickly find myself at the experimental site. On the way here, Ranga also hopped out of my shadow and also decided to follow. He could have also just sat in my shadow and watched from there, but maybe he's gotten a bit bored. As an aside, Ranga and Shizu used to be at odds with each other, but recently they started to at least tolerate each other. Ranga, hairball. Shizu, useless dog. Trust me, it used to be a lot worse. Rimuru, not now, two of you. Ranga, yes master. Shizu, okay. I smirk at their antics and look forward again. I unsheath Yamato, fill it with magicules, and swing it downwards. Sounds of 4th Welchon breaking. Rimuru, eh? Chapter will have to end here while the author fixes 4th Welchon. Name, Rimuru. Race, origin slime. Protection, crest of space. Title, highest tier spirit, leader of the monsters. Ultimate skills, Ilya, Heaven's Feel, Raphael, Lord of Wisdom, Beelzebub, Lord of Gluttony. Intrinsic skills, infinite regeneration, universal shapeshift, universal sense, multi-layer barrier, enhanced replication, universal thread. Unique skills, creation, rune master. Extra skills, Lord's ambition, thought communication, control wind, dark flame, control particles, dominate space. Tolerances, cancel pain, resist melee attack, cancel natural elements, cancel ailments, resist spiritual attack, resist holy attack. Equipment, Yamato, harp. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.